What's up guys, Allan Morrow here, I hope you're all well. Today I just wanted to do a little track walkthrough of my track When They Are Gone, which was released on Pure Trance not that long ago. So I just wanted to show you, some of the elements that I've used and how the track was sort of put together. It's not going to be a tutorial as such. It's going to be, just showing you the elements, giving you a bit of an insight to how it was made. So, yeah, so let's get started anyway. So, let's have a little look. So, obviously, in the intro, you've got pretty much basic elements. Now, the whole thing with this track was, I wanted to make something that was all about the melody and the melodic elements, rather than, the banging tech trance sort of stuff. So, that was my main focus in this track. So, let's have a little listen anyway and go through, and I'll solo some of the elements for you to have a little listen to. So in this section we've got some simple sort of percussion. We've got some bass, which are filtered in. Sorry, that one there. Actually, I muted that one, so that should be not there. So I've got one layer here, another layer there, just complementing it, and then another one there. It starts to open up here, as you can see, with the low end in, and then I've got this little bassy sort of stab, which sits underneath. So what else have we got here? We have some acid sort of atmosphere, which just sort of sits with the bass. Again, a lot of just atmospheric stuff that just sort of sits in the background. Very subtle. And then what do we have? We've got some atmosphere loops here. Again, just sort of creating that atmosphere in the background. Tons of crashes and reverses, but they're all pretty much just sort of white noise and stuff in this. Nothing too crazy or fancy. So this is all my effects down here. As I say, with this sort of track, I really wanted to just sort of keep the class to it. So I didn't want to be, crazy pitch risers and anything like that. It was all about just, obviously, with it being for Pure Trance, I wanted to do something nice, uplifting and classy. So as we come into this section, got some very simple sort of percussion loops, some open hats, and a ride. I then have two different snares. So this brings back to here. So in here we've got one snare here, and then another one complementing it, just to give it that sort of extra bit of groove and swing to it. And then what else do we have here? So we've got this synth loop here, just as an effect sort of loop. And all of these just sort of, forgot this one we've got here. All these just sort of working together. Just sort of creating that atmosphere. And then we do have one sort of pitch riser, but it's not too obvious, not too in your face. And then we come into the section where the sub comes in. So we have the mid bass section here, and then your sub, and then obviously your kick. So what else do we have in this section? So we've got this little atmosphere sort of acid sound, which just sort of moves around from left to right. So that's quite nice. And then I've got this other acid coming in. Again, these acids are very sort of simple sort of sounds. I didn't want to make acids that were taking over from the actual main elements, because obviously when I come into the next sort of section, I've got plucks and stuff in there. So they were the sort of main focus. So if I just come in and you can hear these acids now. Very subtle. Down here, I just have this sort of vocal atmosphere sound. Okay, so in this section, this is where like the real elements and that come in for this sort of track. So I have this little counter pluck here. Very sort of simple stuff again, but they all sort of work together nicely. So you know, counter plucks, different little ARP sounds. They all sort of work nicely. And then I have this really nice sort of ad-lib here. Next up we have this little synth stab, which, it's like a synth stab from the main lead, which I've taken, bounced down the first hit, and then, so here, if you just have a little listen, so that will have been from this main lead over here. I've reversed it, and then sort of created a build out of it as well. So all of these sort of go together. It's quite a crunchy little layer there to the pluck. So the pluck is again very simple. If you just look at some of these here, I've muted some of these layers, some of the notes. I've brought in these pads here as well. Simple sustained note pads. Some side chain on them. You know, you got sort of this pad sitting underneath this one. And then that one for a bit of texture. So what you then basically have here, as I say, this intro is pretty simple. I just wanted to, the main focus was all on the plucks and the little counter plucks that go with it. So now we've got coming in here, we've got the sub pad, and then we also have the counter pluck still playing. It's nice little. So these work really nicely with the bass changes in the sub. And then we have that in there as well. The little vocal atmosphere sound. Another pad that's come in there. And then everything's just sort of really working together with each other. This sort of acid atmosphere again. And then you got this nice little pluck again that's just continuing through. Filtering out. And then probably my favourite part, well, probably one of my favourite parts of the track right here. Massive fan of just having like a few little pads, a sub drone and one of these sort of vocals. So if we just play all this together, just on their own. So we have... And then if you start to add in some of these... Yeah, it gets that real goosebump moments there. So that's that there. We've got the padding, what we've got in here. So again, the pad is just sustained, followed through. With these, what else have we got in here? The atmosphere. So just atmosphere loops. So this is a really sort of nice atmosphere sound here that works well with that sub pad. Another one here as well. So all say lots of different atmosphere sounds in this track. So they're all working nicely together. And then we come up to the main melody, which is the main melody. Actually, I had a different main melody for this track, and I then started to create an intro pluck to suit the main melody. And after listening to the intro pluck with just the pad on its own, I decided that sounded better than the main melody. Kept it simple and just did a few little variations in it. So I get many compliments on this melody, but as I say, it's probably one of the most simple ones that I've ever done. But it just really sort of works. So you've got the sub pattern, the sub pad going with it below. So this is how it all sort of came to go. I just wanted to. And they all just sort of really work well with the vocals. And then I have some other pads and that coming in here, so we've got different pads. And the whole point with these pads and stuff is I just want it to sound really sort of desperate sounding, so if I just add this, this one's a really nice, simple, just some simple one note pads that just harmonizing nicely with the sub. So yeah, that's all the different layers there of the main lead. And then, so we've got in here. So that's then playing through. Then I bring in the mid bass again. In the breakdown, just to sort of give it a bit of movement, in this section. A little bit of a breakbeat kick there, a bit of reverb on. So as I said before about the main synth sound and the reverb on it, this is just this because the main melody sort of just comes out of nowhere. I use this to sort of introduce it, make it a bit more subtle. Just helps introduce this main lead without it just popping out of nowhere. So and then we come into the build up. So we just have, very sort of, again, simple sort of kick rolls and snares and claps, bass, acid sounds. Got a sub pad here, which eventually just filters out towards the drop. Vocals in there again, just to sort of give it that bit more desperation as it's building up. And what I wanted to do is make sure that when I come into the second part, that this pluck, all these plucks are working with the melody so that they're, working together. So we have the vocal, the melody, all the intro plucks and stuff working together there, harmonising with each other. Again, the acids and stuff are still playing through. I'll just show you some of the counter plucks, how sort of simple they are. Very simple, sort of, ignore the muted notes, but the ones that are coloured, they're the ones that are actually playing. And they're all sort of working with the basses, bass changes. So yeah, this harmony pad, unfreeze that for a second. So these are, these are the notes that are playing in these pads. So different notes playing there. Very simple sort of pads there. Just really worked with the sub pad. You don't have to overcomplicate things. I'll just show you all the pads together. Obviously they're all on different octaves and stuff, but very simple sort of things. Simple notes playing different sounds with different layers. And then just sort of bringing it all back down here in the little mini break at the outro. Building it back up again here. And then just going into the outro. So yeah, as you can see here, this track is all about the melodic sort of elements. I've not gone crazy with transitional effects and stuff like that. I just didn't think it was needed. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into it. There's for any of you that have missed any other track walkthroughs, I've got them on my YouTube channel. Whilst you're there, make sure to subscribe if you want to continue seeing them, along with other tips and tricks on there as well. And if any of you are interested in seeing how these sort of tracks are made in a much more in-depth level, I obviously have the one-to-one tuition over Skype or in the studio, and I also have the video tutorials which you can check out at www.allanmorrowstudios.com. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you again soon.